What kind of changes have you seen in the craft of screenwriting in recent years? Are there any new trends or things like that?
Not a lot. I mean, there certainly are. I think that more and more writing a script that has real commercial potential is important. Mm-hmm. I think that certainly there are a lot more opportunities in television than there were before all of the cable networks came along. So that allows for a wider range of style and story and subject matter. I think in terms of storytelling itself, it's possible that the pace has increased. If you look at older movies, they seem quite slow now. I think that current movies jump into the action more quickly oftentimes, and I think that stories jump back and forth in time much more than they did, 10 or 20 years ago. I think just because audiences become more and more used to faster paced storytelling and the juxtaposition of time and the effect of video games and stuff like that on the way people see. On the other hand, I think that the principles of storytelling are pretty much unchanged for centuries. So wow. These are like the little details, if you will. But the big issues of character and desire and transformation, those don't really change.
Okay. Wow, thank you so much. There are so many books and gurus teaching people about screenwriting. What would you say makes your approach different?
Well, I think that, first of all, it is my approach. I mean, I didn't really lift it, or I'm not drawing on one particular point of view. I developed my way of looking at it primarily by looking at hundreds and hundreds of movies, and because I've been working in the industry for 35 years, and so it's a combination of looking at movies and also working with lots of writers and producers and reading, thousands of scripts and seeing what most of them do wrong and what some of them do right. In terms of my particular approach, I think more than anyone else, and in terms of the summit, where we each have our own particular point of view, I think I primarily focus on character arc and transformation and how that intertwines with the structure of the story and the plot of the story. It's about what I call the hero's two journeys, and I don't really know anyone focusing so much on that way of looking at story, of how those two levels of storytelling intertwine.
Okay, thank you.
Did that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does make sense. Now, moving on to my next question. Will the experience of this seminar be very different from reading your books? Is it better or is it necessary to have read your material?
I'll go backwards. First of all, it's definitely not necessary to have read my material. In fact, much of what I talk about in the seminar is not in my books. This is newer stuff that I've developed since I wrote my books. One of my books is on pitching and how you get your stuff read, so this doesn't deal so much with that, although I will touch on it. I think that there are two big things. One, there's something about seeing someone in person. There's an energy in the room. There's the interaction. There's meeting the other participants. I think that adds a real element that books just can't have. I guess there's three things. Another thing is I use movie clips, as do Syd and I think all four of us, in one way or the other. So you get to see the principles illustrated right in front of you by looking at the clip, and then I talk about the principles. But then also, as far as the summit, the big thing about the summit is you get to hear all four of us.
Yes.
So you're getting to hear four different approaches from four people who we all have lots of experience in the industry, have been both lecturing and consulting for a long, long time. And so I think that's invaluable, because what I find is that for anyone who comes, you'll get a wealth of information but one of us usually will be the one that you say, oh, I get that. That's the person who really speaks to me. And I think it's probably about 1/4 of the group feels that way about me and 1/4 about Syd and so on. So to get that kind of variety and that kind of depth, I think there's nowhere else you can get that. I mean, there's nobody else doing what we're doing.